let's see how far we get today. So let's go ahead and I'm going to cut out these feathers to use as a template on the flattened wax that I'm going to be doing, and that will automatically give me the outline for the feather. Okay, the wax is perfect because now it's heated down into the center of it, and therefore it is a little more malleable. One problem though is it might be too soft, and so I've got to take down the heat a little bit by just running it back and forth with my hand and getting it ready to go into the pasta machine, which will flatten out the wax. And now put a wire in between. First I need to straighten it out. If you haven't guessed yet, it's going to take a while. It's not an easy thing to do. And I'll just lay this wax over that. Alright. Now I want to outline the feather. I'm going to go back up a little bit because I want enough to go in the clay. Now this is a center feather, so I'm going to run a line down the center. And then I'm just going to go out from the center to the edge. I can just trim off the rough edges. Now I'll do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to show you how I do this on one feather only. If I did this for 30 feathers, you'd go walleye after a while. Anyway, I just go from the center line, which I just drew, to the outer edge. And this is a serrated edged sculpting tool, so it leaves a nice feathered texture on it. Now, I want to make the quill for the feather. And the way I do that is I just take a little bit of this wax and I just start rolling it out. Like I said, I like the bamboo board because it tends to not stick to the board, and besides that, when it gets this cold in consistency, it's less likely to stick to any kind of cutting board actually. Alright. Get the scraps out of the way. And I'll lay this on the front. And I'm going to cut off there. I wish there was a machine for rolling this stuff out, because this is the most time-consuming part of it. It's just making this perfect. Okay. Now, I just set that there. Go right down to there. Now, I'm not worried as much about it reaching the bottom of the feather because, quite honestly, it's going to be covered with fluff. And later on, you'll find out what that is. Okay, I've got 7 feathers done. And I'm just trying to, still a little heavy. Alright, these feathers weigh as much as this one feather. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's exactly what I said. It was about 1/4 of the weight, one feather, of what this feather weighs. So that's why I'm doing these out of wax. It's just makes more sense to me. At the bottom of the feathers are these, the quills are wrapped and they're folded in on themselves so that they can be sewn to the headdress, and then they'll hang loose on the headdress, and then they're stitched around the center of each feather to hold the feathers in position on the headdress. So that's what I'm going to do right now, is I'm going to make these red things there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to establish the length of the quill, and a lot of times they would put a leather strip along the quill and have that curve back on itself, and the actual length of the cloth would be the full length of the quill. So that's the length I'm going to make it right there, and I'm going to make it a certain thickness so I can keep them all the same thickness. Going to heat the blade just a little bit, and that will, let me get the candle out of the way. I heat the blade a little bit, and then I cut the end off. That way the knife cuts through without pulling the wax in, and then I'll cut to the length that I want. There we go. Then I take another tool, I think it'll be this one here, and you have to have some place where it's been wrapped with string, and I'm going to put 3 ties on it. And that's to hold it together. And I'm going to take this and split the thing I just made in 2, this, and I put that crevice or that cut right down into the over the wire as best I can without wrecking it. There we go. And I'm not going to worry about the back of it because that's going to be against the headdress anyway. But I will blend it just a little bit just to seal it and make it so it doesn't come off again. Okay, one of the things you need to do is when you're making feathers, especially for a headdress, you will need to have them all the lengths exactly the same, and the length of the quill or the wrap at the bottom to be exactly the same, because that's one of the beauties of the headdress, is the just the uniformity of everything. Now I don't know what the mixture of tail feathers, wing feathers, and center tail feathers would be, but I'm going to make it all center feathers, only because I can't find anything. I look up on the web for how a headdress is constructed, and they give me you know, the crafty things on how to make a headdress, so it's really hard to find information. And but all I can do is interpret as best I can, and I'm not going to worry about being anal on it. Alright, that's 7 feathers done. That's not a bad day. I'll do 7 more, and I'll see in 3 days, 4 days I should have all these done. So, alright, see you guys Monday.